Hey, testing one, two, three. Testing one, two, three. Okay, I'm all good. I am back again, and good afternoon, good evening, again from wherever you are. This is Lady Victoria, your etiquette educator, and I am back on. I was trying to get on a little bit earlier and I had so much feedback behind me and I didn't understand what was going on. But now I understand. Um, I am inside my recording room and there is a lot of background noise on the other side of the door, which my mics were still picking up. So that's why I had so much feedback. So I went out, I had to come back in, had to figure it out. And so I figured out that's what was going on. So listen, this is uh, now I'm back in. I had to get my headphones to take care of that. So, good afternoon, good evening again. For those of you that might be joining me for the very first time, I am Lady Victoria, your etiquette educator of Victoria School of Etiquette, where we offer solution to your etiquette dilemmas. Listen, I'm broadcasting you to you from the great big old state of Texas, where we do things in a really big way. So listen, welcome to the platform. Grab a neighbor, grab a friend, and come on in and come on over and be a part of our broadcast this evening. Look, let me take these glasses off. With the glasses and the headphones, that's just too much going on. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Please like and share across your various social media platforms and feel free to share your comments in the comment section below. I'm very interested in what you have to say and I will respond if I can during the live broadcast. Okay, so we're broadcasting from my fan page, from my personal profile page. I'm on Twitter, and I'm also broadcasting on YouTube. So that's four different platforms this afternoon. And let's get into our topic. I've entitled this segment Recycle Your Life. And I don't know, am I too loud? I sound very loud in my own ears. If I'm too loud, give me a thumbs up. It might just be my headphones. And let me know. And then, of course, please be polite and share in the comment section. Say hello from wherever you are. I'm getting a message that I can't post messages to some channels. I'm not sure which ones, but if you can post, please do. I appreciate it. I want to talk about recycling a little bit. You know, we all um, drink water. Some of us drink more than others. This is a bottle of water, just one bottle of water that I drink. I'm not concerned about brands or anything like that this evening. I really want to talk about the recyclability of plastics on this evening. There's a lot that goes on in recycling industry that I didn't know about. And I don't know if you know about it or not, but I want to share with you a little bit tonight. Okay. So when we drink from these plastic bottles, we know that most of the time they are recyclable. And we recycle plastics, we recycle glass, we recycle aluminum, and we recycle cardboard or paper, right? And we automatically assume that if it's plastic, it is automatically recyclable. Did you know that not all plastics were created equal? Some plastic water bottles are recyclable, like this one is. And then you have some other plastic bottles that may or may not be recyclable for different reasons. So here's some of what I found out that most plastic or other recyclable materials, glass and cans, will have some signage on it somewhere that lets you know that it should be recyclable, just like this one does. See that little sign right there? See that little sign? Now you have that on almost all of your water bottles. Now, most water bottles are automatically recyclable because of not only that sign, but also because of the type of plastic that it is. It makes it automatically recyclable. If it is A plastic water bottle is oftentimes referred to a grade one recyclable, resustainable plastic product. I didn't know that. I didn't know that they were classified into different categories. And there's seven different categories where they are classified. If it is a number one, then it is the highest recyclable material that can be used over and over again. If it is a number seven, classified as a number seven, it goes into what they call the other category. It may or may not be recyclable, and it may even have this little signage on it, the one I showed you earlier, right? It looks like a bunch of arrows all pointing, together to form this like little circle. And then usually inside that arrow, it will have a number. This one does not have the number, but you can see that it clearly says that it's recyclable. Now, I'm going to show you this one, this bottle. This is a plastic drinking bottle, right? Plastic water bottle. There isn't a clearly defined signage on this bottle that tells you whether or not it is recyclable. I looked this bottle over several times before I finally found that same little arrow type circle. It's way down here. I don't know if you all can see it. Let me see if I can point to you here. It's way down there. And it's the arrow sign is very tiny, but it does say recyclable, recyclable bottle. This one also has an arrow on the very bottom of it. I know you guys can't see it because I looked it over for 2 days before I found it. I wanted to find the arrow sign. It's right here where my finger is pointing, but I doubt that you can really see it because it's a clear plastic bottle and the signage is clear, just like the bottle. So it makes it very difficult to read. But it's that same arrow that I've shown you on this one, but there's no number inside of it. At the very bottom of it, I had to take a magnifying glass and look at it. And you won't be able to see it from here because I can barely see it. I'm looking at it. But I can see at the very, very bottom, it does say PET, which also constitutes that it's a number one recyclable plastic material. Okay. So it can be used again. It didn't talk a whole lot about like numbers two, three, four. It did talk about PVC, which we already know about is dangerous. That's used, as for piping, and that's not a material that's easily recyclable. Number seven falls into that category, like I said previously, where we don't know as a consumer, we don't really know whether it's recyclable or not. But we put it in the recycle bin, and then the recycling industry makes the final determination as to whether or not it should be recycled. When we talk about recycling cardboard or paper, things like that, mostly think about food containers. If you order a pizza and it comes in that cardboard box, usually it is made from recycled materials. The box, I mean. Coffee cups are also made from recycled materials. Whether you go to Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts to get your coffee, most of those coffee cups are made from recyclable material, but they can't be recycled, most of them. You know why? Because the outside is made from cardboard recycled materials, but there's an inner layer inside the coffee cup where your coffee lives. This plastic, that plastic needs to be separated from the cardboard. And because the recycling industry says it costs them so much money. Oh, okay. Thank you, Patrick. I'm sorry. The recycling industry says that it costs so much money to separate that thin layer of plastic from inside the cup until it's not profitable for them to do so. So they don't. So all of those coffee cups, where do they end up? In landfills. Even oftentimes when we're buying a candy bar, the wrapper may be made from material that's recyclable. But again, what we can't see is that thin layer on the underside of the candy wrapper that keeps it from getting too warm, that keeps it from getting contaminated. We, the consumer, can't see those things. And so we don't know about them. The industry doesn't make that information readily available to us. So we don't know. We think it's recyclable because it has those little arrow boxes in there. It might not have a number in there, but the arrows say that it's recyclable material. So we put it in the recycle bin, and there it is. But oftentimes it doesn't actually get recycled. Now, I don't know, it seems like we've been recycling materials for a long time, but it was the plastic industry that came up with the idea of making plastics recyclable. Because as we already know, plastics stay in the environment for forever, for forever. Even though these water bottles are recyclable, you know, that they really only sustain their ability to be recycled only 2 or 3 times. After this water bottle has been recycled 2 or 3 times, it loses its sustainability. And then there's the other type of plastics that can't be recycled no matter what you do to it. These plastic bottles are easy to go into the recycling industry. They go to the recycling distribution center and they can be melted down and they can be reused again. The ones that aren't, or the ones that might be like a seven, they can't, no matter how much heat you apply to it, they cannot be melted down. And so they cannot be recycled into something else or into another water bottle. So they just get thrown into the landfill as well. And I do want to give credit to most of my information that I am getting comes from the National Geographic magazine. And that's where I'm pulling a lot of my information from. Here, I want to show you this picture right here. You can see this one a whole lot better. You see the arrow sign up there in the corner? And if I bring it in real close, can you see that it has the number one inside of there? It, it has a number one inside of there. So when you see that number, that number is letting you know that this is something that the industry considers recyclable, and it is one of the type of plastics that is most recyclable that we can reuse over and over again. So, again, that number seven only informs us, as a consumer, what type of plastic it is. Number one, PET water bottles has the highest recycling valuable. We know to keep them out of the sun to prevent toxins from leaking into the container, which is not good for us health wise. The number seven is the other, which is the catch all category. It includes non recyclables and corn based plastics, PLA. Remember, I referred to water bottles at first as PET. The PLA type of plastics, they don't want those. They don't want those because they're corn based plastics, whereas regular plastic is derived from crude oil, which is a substance, again, that we can use again. Another thing that the industry doesn't tell us about recyclable plastics are the health effects. Okay. It has been proven that plastic has been linked to disrupting hormonal growth and carcinogens. Right? Uh, so while its use is also acceptable with public hygiene and preventing bacterial contamination, it's not something that we want to, use all of the time. Good evening. Thank you for joining our broadcast. Please say hello if you can in the comment section. Okay. I already talked about that. It's made from crude oil, um, and some plastics can be recycled over and over again. Now, these are the two types of plastics that we come into contact with most often: thermoset versus thermoplastics. Thermoplastics are plastics that can be recycled and remolded into new products and therefore recycled. However, thermoset plastics contain polymers that cross link to form an irreversible chemical bond. These are the ones that no matter how much heat you apply to it, you can't melt that plastic down again. So, those are the kind of plastics that oftentimes end up in landfills because they cannot be recycled again. Okay. We know that plastics last in the environment forever. We talked about the coffee cups that can't be recycled. Um, and I told you about that it's not cost effective for the recycling industry to try and separate the paper from that thin layer of plastic inside your coffee cups. So they're just going to get thrown away. And then we also know that dirty plastic cannot be recycled. Dirty plastics cannot be recycled. Plastic and boxes that has food on it, the industry, they won't touch them. It's considered non-recyclable. So that pizza box, you finish with the pizza, you leave a piece of sausage in there, there's tomato sauce that's stuck on the bottom. Mm-mm. Nobody's going to go and scrape all of that off and take it over to the recycling plant. They don't have enough manpower and it's not cost effective enough for them to get rid of the food particles. So they just get rid of the whole thing. These are so many different things that we need to know. We're raising our children to be good to the earth. We're raising them to eat healthier. We're raising them to, recycle and do these kinds of things. But if we don't know this kind of information, we can't pass it on. Okay. So this is what they want us to do as a consumer. They want us to wash it first and then recycle. Wash your plastics first and then recycle. So if I take this water bottle, or if I have another plastic container, right? We get other plastic containers that carry juice and coffees and teas and all of that. But when it has the residue from that physical product in it, then why don't you just rinse it out? Just rinse it out in some hot water and then throw it in the recycle bin, and it's all good. It's all, excuse me. So they want quality plastics. The plastic bags that we get from the grocery stores, they are not recyclable. They're not recyclable. It's considered dirty plastic. There's no monetary value to the plastic industries for them to reuse it. So it's just trash. Again, ends up in the landfill. So, we use them as trash can liners for our bathroom garbages or for a small garbage can. That's fine. But don't put it in your recycle bin. Another thing that happens to the recycle bin is when you put in recyclable products along with non-recyclable products, the recycling industry, they don't have the manpower or the money or the time to separate the recyclable items from the non-recyclable. So guess what happens to that whole bin? Ends up in the landfill somewhere. Different things that we just did not know. Now we're talking about how many times plastic bottles can be recycled. Every time you recycle plastic, the quality of that plastic decreases. Hmm? So these polymers that are in the plastic, and this is according to the Science History Institute, these little polymers look a little bit like this. Let me show you this picture. They look like this, and they just refer to them as these teeny tiny atoms, right, that form a specific shape and pattern. And when they're recycling water bottles, sometimes they can add more polymer to the bottle to make it more sustainable so that they can recycle it more than 2 or 3 times. But after they break down, you see the top line, when they're really strong, that's the second time. They're not as strong. By the time they get to this bottom line down here, they're not as recyclable anymore. So they have to get rid of that. They have to get rid of it. So much information here. So that polymer chain grows shorter over time. The quality of it decreases. So the polymers is referred to as virgin material that's added to upgrade the quality of the original bottle. Okay. So plastic, even over time, uses its sustainability to be recycled again and again and again. Glass and metal can be recycled infinitely. You can crush it, um, you can break it down. It doesn't lose the quality or the purity of the product. So those glass bottles and our um, canned vegetables, anything that comes in a glass bottle. Again, before you put it in the recycle bin, cleanse it. Just rinse it out so that there's no food residue left in there so that it can be used again. It can be used again. There was one other one thing I wanted to say. Um, Here are some items that might go into that everything, or I'm sorry, the other category. The plastic shopping bags that we might get from Aldi's or your Jewel Osco, things like that. Plastic ware that we use to eat with, plastic utensils, that gets thrown into that same category as well. So this is another type of water bottle here, drinking bottle on this picture that might also get thrown into that other category. Things we just don't know. These are bioplastics and non recyclables. They are considered the same. They would go in that number 7 category, end up most of the time in the landfill. Okay. Let me see. There was one other thing that I wanted to get into. Yes. So, the thing that the industry, plastics industry, want us as consumers to be aware of is education. And I just decided to do this show on a whim after we're sitting here with 3 different drinking bottles. And I thought, where does all this stuff end up for real, for real? But they are telling us that only powered by knowledge can we take the necessary actions to transform our relationship with plastic and protect our families, communities, and the environment. I'm going to add one other thing to that about recycling and who gets to decide what gets recycled and what doesn't. According to this article, okay, it is saying that it's a system dictated by market demand, price determinations, and local regulations. Those are the things that come into play when um, it's decided what items get recycled and what items don't. If there isn't a monetary value associated with recycling, it won't get recycled. If the industry can't make any money off of it afterwards, they will decide not to recycle it. Your city government also determines, okay? The market and the city government makes a determination as to whether certain items should get recycled or not. Without a market demand for that item, there's no profitability attached to it. Landfill, not recycle, landfill. So again, I was talking about the plastic grocery bags that we get. It's not a market demand for that. They're just going to reproduce them over and over and over and over again. We find a way to reuse them and make them work for us. But in the plastic industry, they don't consider that item to be a market demand for them to recycle. It's easier for them to just continue to recreating it. So I found all of this really very interesting. Um, and I thought that it was something, that the public should be made aware of too. Perhaps you're smarter than me. You already know. You already know some of this information. But any information that I discover, I like to share with my audience because, like me, I'm sure there's someone else out there that may not know it. Okay. So if you live in a community and you don't know whether or not something might be recyclable in your community or the area in which you live, you can call your city hall and find out. You can call your sanitation department, wherever it is that you live, and find out. Oftentimes on your recycle container, it will have a picture or they just have some wording that lets you know which items can go into this recycle bin and which cannot. Glass can oftentimes go in there. Aluminum can oftentimes go in there, some plastics, and as I already told you, styrofoam, your your coffee cups that you get from Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts or wherever you get coffee from, those oftentimes are not recyclable. Candy wrappers, the container that your cookies come in that you buy for your children. Oftentimes, those items might say that they're recyclable, but they might not actually be. So you would have to do a little bit of an education, a little bit of digging to find out if that particular item is truly recyclable before you throw it into that bin. So if you care enough about the environment and the community in which you live, I'm hoping that you will avail yourself of some of this information, share it with your family, share it with your children, and let's just try to do what we can to help keep our environment safe, not just for us, but for our children, our grandchildren, their children, and for generations to come. So, just a little tidbit of information that I'm sharing with you on this Saturday afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Thank you so much for joining the broadcast. I thank you for being here and being part of our platform on this afternoon. And I'm asking that you would please like and share across your various social media platforms. And if you don't follow me on YouTube by the same name, Victoria School of Etiquette, go on over there, hit the subscribe button so that you can become a part of my followers over there. I greatly appreciate that. And then if you're not a regular listener or watcher to this show, hit the notification button so that every time we go live, you'll know about it. If there's not some information here that will benefit you, it can most certainly benefit someone else. This is Lady Victoria thanking you for being a part. And until the next time, signing off. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.